SEPS2BIM, Equipment Objects, Templates, and Tools for Generating BIM from the Space and Equipment Planning System data. A catalog of objects that represent the MIL Standard 1691 data is available. This is linked to the JSN numbers that are in the MIL Standard 1691 database. Object libraries aligned with the MIL Standard 1691 database are available in Revit, Onuma System, and SketchUp format. SEPS2BIM templates for the VA spaces, again in alignment to the SEPS master tables, have been created and are available from the VA website and also linked from the SEPS2BIM website. Levels of development of templates are cataloged and shown as level of detail development 1 through 4. And BIM templates are created based on the standards that are set up in the VA TIL and department updates as they get delivered to VA. The SEPS2BIM tools use all of these standards, the equipment, the spaces that generate departments, and then Project Generator is a tool that takes the SEPS output for actual projects and uses the equipment and department and spaces to generate a BIM based on the SEPS output. This automatic generation of BIM from SEPS data enables the alignment of requirement data to the design model as the project progresses. Let's take a look at the Space and Equipment SEPS2BIM tool. This is a simple tool that does a lot. It actually goes and takes room codes and looks at the SEPS master tables and collects the equipment that is part of that room code and places it into a format that can be read by BIM. This is the default information for that particular room code. There's a live sample output right here, but let's try and generate one in real time. So you can take the room codes that you see on the template list. For example, DNTG1 is an exam room. Let's take that and just paste it here. And you can, using a comma, you can keep on adding multiple room codes. You can do one or many in one shot. So let's just do 2 for now. And put your email address here. What this is going to do next is it's going to go to the Onuma System BIM server and use the SEPS Web Services data for the master tables and generate a BIM from that information with the correct placement of the space and equipment data based on the last department update. So this is complete. Then if you go to your actual email list and look at the email that you received, here's the recent email. It just came in just a few minutes ago. And it will have 2 links. Here it's actually confirming that you created 2 spaces. The first link is if you're in a web browser, and if you're on an iPad, you can also launch into an iPad viewer in 2D and 3D. Let's look at the web browser version. So here's the information. The date that this was created, May 4th. We're calling this How Fresh Is This BIM because if you come back to this link a few days later, the data might have changed, might have been new information that came from SEPS, but this is actually putting a date stamp on it, and you can always go back and regenerate the room. This is a little informational pop-up window that you can just close, and then down below it you actually see the floor plan. And this is a live plan. It's not a graphic, it's actually generated from data. So you can actually zoom in and you see the name of the space. If you click on a space, there are a few simple tools up here, a hand for dragging it around. If you double click on the space, it has information about that space, and you can even drill down into the space. And on the left side there are options for exporting. So you can export to Revit. XML file is exported, and there's a plugin for Revit to regenerate this in Revit. For SketchUp, the same thing. An Excel output of a list of the rooms, and an Excel equipment list that is basically built on the fly from this data that came from SEPS. So if we look at the equipment list in Excel now that we just downloaded, it's actually going to be listing all of the equipment in the DNTG1 and OFC01 space. So here is a list of all the equipment in those two spaces. The SEPS department aggregator takes the SEPS default department data for a specific department and creates data that can be imported into BIM and creates a BIM on the fly. This is a web-based tool that's free. You put in your email address, select a department. There's a pull down here that's actually coming from the SEPS master tables. These are the default settings for these departments before actually getting into a project specific output. Let's select Dental Service 222. Put in the password. A free tool, you need to get a password to actually start this tool up. Hit proceed. And now it goes into the Onuma System BIM server and takes the SEPS master table data and gathers all the spaces and equipment for dental service. And it got done while we were talking here. It's several hundred, if not thousands, of pieces of equipment and tens of thousands of pieces of data. You'll receive an email with a link. So let's go and check our email. There's the email. And what the email does, it shows two different links. The first link is going to take you to a web view of this, and the second view link is going to take you to an iPad. If you're on an iPad and click on this, it'll launch into the Onuma 3D BIM app, a free application on the iPad. So let's grab the web view. It's launching in real time, telling me that this is Dental Service 222 created just now. So this is a fresh, we call this a fresh BIM. The reason it's fresh is you can actually save these as generated files. Maybe it's 10 days old, but as we all know, the SEPS data is constantly changing. So if any updates have happened within that time, especially if it's 6 months or a year old, it'll quickly get outdated. So the idea is to get the latest data, and this is obviously before actual projects generated, but the same process actually happens for projects as well. So this is a graphic that's generated from the SEPS data in real time, grabbing the latest known default department and spaces and equipment, and even the layout of those spaces and equipment based on that last department update. The red blocks that you see are actually pieces of equipment that have not been detailed at the higher level of development. They're actual blocks with the actual JSN names in them, so they can actually be used for planning purposes, but they will not generate a detailed 3D view of that particular piece of equipment. This is 1,271 pieces of equipment, 85 spaces, generated in a few seconds, as you saw. If you're on an iPad, you click on that, it'll actually open up that view on an iPad. If you want to regenerate this, if you come back a week later and you say, well, let's redo this, so you actually can say create a fresh version of this. You can export an XML file that imports into Revit, SketchUp, export an Excel file of all these rooms, Excel file all the equipment, or email this BIM to somebody else. So you can actually click that and it'll send another link, like the email that we saw earlier that would look like this, so somebody else can actually receive it when you send it to them. On the right side, it has the information about this, the functional areas of this department. This is a view-only link. It's a live graphic, and actually if you had an account into the Onuma system, you can actually go in there and actually edit and move things around for early planning purposes, or view a design that's completed. So this is a single room here. If you click on the room, you can actually drill into that room, look at the information about it. So it's a fully functional live view of the plan and data that came from SEPS into BIM on the fly.